Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the This Is Me podcast. I'm Karen.
And I'm Ellie, and today we have Cheryl joining us. Cheryl is the founder of ethical vitamin company Viridian Nutrition, the pinnacle of a 40-year career in the natural products movement. She says she fell in love with health food stores when she was 21 years old and is a passionate advocate for independent retailing, opening her own health store with a bookshop next door in sunny Daventry, Northamptonshire. So, Cheryl, firstly, thank you so much for taking the time out to talk to us today. And to kick us off, why don't you tell us a bit about yourself and how you got to where you are today and what sparked your love for health food stores so early?
Well, yeah, I was so early, 21. 21, I felt like a real grown up actually already by then. I left home and left school at 16 and didn't do any further education. And so I kind of was looking for something, I guess. I don't think I realized I was looking for something, but I chopped and changed jobs. This is sort of the late 70s. And it was easy to just pack up a job and go and work somewhere else. So I worked in pubs, I worked on market stalls, I did child minding, I worked in, all sorts of offices and all sorts of things, and never found anything I really liked. And somebody said to me, oh, there's a job going at that health food store up the road. And at that time I was a very strict vegetarian. And so I sort of moseyed on in. And within a day, I just realised that I was completely and utterly absorbed in what was going on there, the kindness and the caring and the listening and people talking and, being heard. And, I just literally fell in love. I thought, my goodness, what an amazing place a hub of all things wellness and health and kindness. And, it was just lovely, happiness. And so I stayed in that health food shop for probably a few months, but I moved on and moved up to Edinburgh and worked in another health food shop up there, in Real Foods in Edinburgh. I was dating a chap, and we flipped a coin and decided whether we were going to live in Brighton or Edinburgh, and it landed to Edinburgh. So we moved up to Edinburgh.
Opposite ends of the country.
I know. Lived in a tent for 6 weeks, and then got the job in the health food shop. So that was kind of a start to my love of health foods and all things natural, I guess. While I was up there, I was working. I ended up working in an office. I needed more money, and health food stores are notoriously poor players. Where I was working in an office, and we went out for a Christmas dinner, and all the meat eaters got, as you can imagine, the turkey, the trimmings, all this kind of stuff. And the three vegetarians, no word of a lie, we got a pile of rice with cheese on top. And we were absolutely appalled. And the reason I'm telling you this is because it was kind of the start of my taking work seriously. I got chatting with these two other women, and we said, let's write a guidebook to vegetarian restaurants in Edinburgh. And so we did. I was 21 and I just bowl into a shop or a restaurant and I'd say, give me a free dinner and I'll write you up in this review. And we interviewed about 50, 60 restaurants and finding out what vegetarian foods they did. We published it, 5,000 copies we sold.
Wow.
Don't get too excited. It's only $1.95 each. This is back in the early 80s. So
I don't think that matters.
Retiring on this. But I was so bold. If I look back now, I think, oh my God, what a child I was. But I had a pile of 100 books under my arm, and I've stomped into Waterstones on Princess Street. And I said, I wanted you to sell these. And I think the manager just took pity on me, and he said, we'll actually do the launch here. So he let us do an actual launch of the book there. And I met Billy Connolly and did all sorts of things around this book. So I was so excited about this.
How did you publish it, Cheryl? How did you physically publish it?
I think we published it. We self-published. We printed it ourselves. I didn't know about anything, ISBNs. We didn't know ISBN on it or anything. I just, just had a bit of fun. Do it. And I thought, I just wanted to do it. And I thought to myself, blimey, this is an amazing way to earn a living. So I thought I'm going to apply to every marketing and book publishing company that I can find back down to London, because I was moving back down to London by then. And I applied for 200 jobs, no word of a lie. This is back when you hand-typed or hand-wrote out applications. And I got 2 interviews. One was with Dorling Kindersley, based in Covent Garden, which I desperately wanted, editorial assistant, book publishing company. And the other one, I'll tell you, was a bit different. So anyway, I didn't get the Dorling Kindersley one, but I got the other one. And there was something she saw in me, the editor of this publishing house. She saw something in me, just an enthusiasm. And so I got the job as deputy editor on Postman Pat picture paper, children's magazine, writing Postman Pat stories. I also worked on buttons for the BBC and Piggy Press for the NatWest Bank.
Oh my God.
But it was great, really. It was good because I had no experience, none. I mean, I had no experience, no qualifications. And I just spent 2 years there just learning and learning and learning. Evening classes up at London College of Printing, studying editorial and book publishing management. So I did evening classes in that, got the qualification. And, I just loved every minute of it. And by that point, I was within the same group, within the same company, there was a magazine called Natural Food Trader, which is a trade magazine for the natural products industry. And I applied for the job as deputy editor and got that job. So that was me in a proper grown-up job. And I was 24 by then, 25. And just amazing. A bit of luck happened to me then. And there's a lot of luck in my career. I'll have you say this, but the day I walked in, no connection, but the editor walked out. She had some personal life issues.
Right.
So I went from running a deputy editor on a children's magazine to running what was a £1 million title, Natural Food Trader, as editor of this magazine. And
they brought 24, 25. That's crazy.
I know, but fake it till you make it, right? I was within 6 weeks. I was in Los Angeles. I'd been to Berlin.
Wow.
Where else did they send me? I just went all over the place because I really wanted to. I was allowed to. I just travelled all over the world.
What was it about that company because you found your environment, didn't you? Whereas the other one would be very corporate, very, elite. I'm going to say elitist because it is an elitist, DK is an elitist type publishing house, isn't it?
I don't
know.
What
was it about that? What was it about the one you were in?
Well, it was a great big company. It was IBTM. It was a huge company. And I think in some ways, because most of the titles there were big engineering company magazines and like massive titles. And because it was the health food industry, I think the main publisher was a chap. I think he just wasn't that interested. So he just kind of let you get on with it. Mm-hmm. But, we had quite a decent ad revenue. And, obviously you're going out to see retailers, manufacturers, and they want to advertise in the magazine. So, it was commercial as well as being fun. But I think the two things are the same thing. But, so I was traveling a lot, running the magazine, and I did that for 3 years. And I don't know if you've ever worked in magazines, but it's quite relentless. You're working on Christmas and then you're working on Easter and, it's nonstop. And I was out in New York and I met with a manufacturer of food supplements, because obviously it's part of the natural products industry and an American company. And about 3 or 4 months after I'd been there to interview him and go around his manufacturing plant and write a story on his business, he phoned me up and asked me to join that business as their marketing director, which was a big shock because I literally knew that much about marketing, literally nothing. And I said to him, well, no, my next move is going to be onto The Guardian or the Independent newspaper or whatever, I was very ambitious. And but he pursued me, which is very sweet. And I don't know what it was. I thought there is something here. I am interested in vitamins. I am. It's an interesting category. And it was really growing then. It wasn't like it is now. There was very little science in the way there is now. This is back in, late 80s, I guess. And in the end, I said yes, and I went there as marketing director. So I was there for 8 years as their marketing director.
Was that abroad? Was that in New York? Sorry.
No, it was actually based in Hertfordshire, in the UK.
Right. Yeah.
But we ran, myself. I was marketing director, the sales director, a technical director, and we ran the business in the UK and Europe. We developed it all over Europe. Started at 3 million when I joined in the UK. And when I left, it was about 25 million. So, we turned it into a good business.
Phenomenal growth, yeah.
Yeah.
But after 8 years, my boss came to me. It was a family-run business. And he came to me and he said, we've sold the business. They've sold it. They sold it for $100 million to a company called Wyeth Pharmaceuticals, a big, giant pharmaceutical company. And so, of course, by then Google had been invented. So I went home and I Googled what this new company was. And they, inevitably, big pharmaceutical companies got lots of lawsuits against them. 77,000 employees, 2.2 billion turnover, and it's all drugs, And I went back in that day and handed my notice in and maybe worked there 3 months, which was hard to finish. But so I left, and so and that was when the idea for Viridian was formed. I went off for a couple of interviews first, other companies, to see whether I should just stay in the industry, work for somebody else. But when I realised what I'd learned, really, how much I'd learned in that 8 years, I thought to myself, okay, time to stand on my own 2 feet and start Viridian. Yeah, that was in 1999.
I mean, I don't know what to say about that. That's like, what a leap from the marketing director. Yeah, I'm going to just start on my own. Like, there's a statement and a half.
Because usually, usually I'd be like, oh, what drove you to it, or what, what was it within you? But I think from hearing just your story that you've told so far, actually kind of makes total sense that you would go, I'm just going to do this.
It makes no sense whatsoever. Really? From a marketing person think, oh yeah, I can do this. I think the only reason people start businesses really, or the main reason, is out of complete naivety. You have to be. You have to be 100%. Naive. If you're not naive, you would never do it. Yeah. If I understood, if I knew what was coming for the next 3 to 5 years, I would never have done it. And I think if I worked it out now, I've probably earned less. I probably earned less in the first 20 years of my own business than I would have if I'd stayed 20 years working with somebody else, and I wouldn't have had anyone. I probably wouldn't be as grey. but having said that, I wouldn't have had as much fun either. But so we started Viridian, and I thought we had a fortune as a company. I thought we had a fortune to start this business, but it was grossly underfunded. And within 3 years, I was at £600,000 in debt. Wow. And it was quite a challenge. And
who did you start it with, Cheryl?
It was myself and my daughter's dad. We weren't married, but he was the sales director at the previous company that we both worked at. And we started it together, but it was very quickly. He found that he loved somebody else and decided he wanted to live somewhere else. And so it was agreed I would buy him out of the business. So it was all quite short-lived as the two of us. But to be fair to him, I don't think I would have started it without him. I think that, both of us, it gave us the confidence to do it. But very quickly, it was just me. And so obviously I employed people. The business was amazing because I'd been at the other company for 8 years. Health food stores decided to take on Viridian from day one, before we even showed them
because
a product.
Because of your reputation?
Absolutely.
Wow.
100 stores took us in from day one, and we had 24 products to start.
I wonder how you'd have done on Dragon's Den today. Sorry, when you hear some of we've got 2 things in 2 places.
Well, something, I would never go to a Dragon's Den. I've never taken any investment in the business, never. I've done it all self-financed. And we got into £600,000 worth of debt, and then my partner left, so I had the £600,000 worth of debt plus personal debt. God. But I managed to. Well, the truth is, if Viridian had gone bust at that point, we would have taken down our main supplier. They would have gone bust too, and they were a 25-year-old company. So they recognised the issue. Sadly, thank God, they recognised the issue. And they took out a mortgage on a property that they had, so that converted into a loan with interest, paid a substantial amount of interest, but they allowed me to gradually trade through and pay down the debt, which is what I did over the following 6 years. Holly and I literally, I sold my camper van to pay the reps bonuses because sales were phenomenal. I mean, absolutely. I could not get this is the naivety. I could not understand how sales could be so phenomenal, and yet there was no money in the bank, and worse, there was debt. I did not understand cash flow at all. I had no understanding. I could write a thesis on it now, but I had no understanding.
It's so interesting because one of the things we think we're going to do next year is something similar, like a podcast about being a founder, because naivety, ill-preparedness, like coming from a specialism to an MD. And I remember I was thinking about this the other day, how much money, I was just on my own doing leadership stuff, how much money I earned and how little money I had. Because exactly to you, I didn't manage my costs. I didn't. It's terrifying.
It wasn't cost; it was cash flow.
Oh, mine was cost.
Yeah. No, I'd like to say that I was doing okay, but I just couldn't understand where the cash was and how I couldn't pay everybody. I mean, it got to the point where there was a Christmas Eve, literally a Christmas Eve, where I just woke up and thought, I'm going to have a heart attack or something. I'm so stressed. who can I talk to that I can trust? And, I was so paranoid. I thought my accountant was out to get me and, everything. I was just completely nuts. And I phoned up the local Chamber of Commerce in Northampton and said, please help me. Honestly, I didn't cry, but, I was close to tears. Please help me. And there was a guy there called Barry Egan. I always say that if I ever have a tattoo, it will say Barry Egan with a little heart. Even though he didn't really help me, but he helped me to see. I went over there and it's Christmas Eve. I threw everything out on the table and I just said, look, I just don't understand how I can be in so much debt. We're doing well. What's going wrong? And he explained cash flow to me. And but he did say, you have to stop trading. It's illegal what you're doing, and you're going to go to prison. You're going to go to prison. You can't trade insolvent. If I can't order goods from people knowing I can't pay, right?
Right.
And I thought, oh my god. So over Christmas, I thought to myself, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? And I went to see a bankruptcy specialist in the January, and he said exactly the same thing. Stop doing this, dear. You're going to go to prison. And that something happened inside me. Something happened. Something like everything turned to steel, and I thought, I am not going to lose this business. I've worked too bloody hard, and obviously we employ people. I'm not gonna, I'm not gonna give this up. So that's when I recognised if I could convert that debt into a loan and trade through, and that's why I went to see the supplier, and everything just fell into place. But I would say that I'm not particularly clever. I'm not particularly intelligent. I'm not particularly educated. But my God, nobody can beat me when it comes to being relentless.
Yeah,
I'm absolutely steely determined. Anybody who's played sports with me or board games, they'll know I'm absolutely out to win. And I think that's been my superpower. That's got us through everything. Really, we like I say, me and Holly, we lived out of charity shops. It was just me and Holly then, and we just we got rid of the telly. We cut down every cost down to the bone. Every penny that we had went into the business. And it was like that for best part of a decade to crack down the debt, to get us back into a position. We still kept employing people and, investing in marketing and everything. But Holly and I was the lowest paid person at Viridian for many, many, many years until we could get the business back on its feet. Yeah.
I don't doubt it.
Yeah.
I was going to, I think, interestingly, like clever and smart, I think they're like really interesting words because, okay, maybe are you the most academic person in the world? Not really, like smart and clever in that sense. I don't know, maybe you are, maybe you aren't. But I think to say that you're not clever and you're not to do what you've done, I don't think that can possibly be true.
That's very nice of you. I suppose what I am now is experienced. I learn from experience, and people say, "Oh, did you make many mistakes?" I made every freaking mistake, every single one. And but every single one I managed to get myself back on my feet again and go again. And Viridian itself has always done well. So, I've been very fortunate in that regard that people wanted what I was offering. They because I'd been a journalist in the trade, I knew what the trade was like. I knew what the manufacturing side was like. I knew what the supply chain was like. I knew all the difficulties and the sort of the hidden secrets behind what happens in vitamins in the vitamin industry. And I was determined that we would be the cleanest, the most ethical, the most responsible, the most effective. And I set those things in place from day one. And I've been relentless in keeping those standards as they should be. So the company itself has always done really well, but behind the scenes in terms of the structure of the company, the way the company was funded, how I did it all is very amateur, very amateur. I look back now and think, oh my God, how did we ever survive that? Really. But from the outside, it all looked very slick and well done, So, yeah. But no, I don't, like I say, I don't claim smartness or intelligence or education, but I do claim experience. I've got a lot of experience, and I share that with other businesses now. I do a bit of mentoring here and there, and I think that's book learning is one thing, but actual having lived it is a much more powerful, I think.
Yeah, definitely.
I agree. I was going to ask, how did you, in terms of the business, that whole business thing? So you were a working mum. You've talked about the challenges you and Holly had. How old was Holly when you were in the midst of this cash flow crisis?
Yeah, oh God, well, Holly was 4 when Viridian was born, and I don't know what you were like as a mum, but as a mum, I just
Mental.
mental.
Well, I was like you. I was a full-time mum.
Yeah,
I loved my job. I wanted to have my job. I loved it. Some of it I didn't, but I did, and I wanted to be a great mum. And I
yeah,
probably like you. I didn't want to be defined as what a mom looked like. So I was
yeah.
probably just like you. I was going to have it, and nobody was going to tell me I couldn't.
Yeah, no,
You know,
exactly so. I kind of ignored the pregnancy, just carried on. I was
so did I.
working
Yeah.
on the Thursday before Holly was born on the Saturday. I was at the computer, and I thought, oh, I've slight discomfort in my tummy. I wonder what that could be. And I knew I was pregnant. Obviously, I knew I was pregnant, but
Yeah. Oh my God, it's
yeah,
a
she was
baby.
born on the Saturday. Yeah, I know, whoops. And then I think 6 weeks later, I think 6 weeks, 2 months, I was back at the desk.
Yeah.
I knew that I thought that she'd be like a white sheet of paper when she was born, like a clean sheet of paper that I would help write things. But when I looked at her little face, I could see a little person in there, and I was really shocked. I was like, "Oh my gosh, she's like a little person of her own."
Yeah.
But I literally had her in a box beside my desk. I mean, obviously, didn't have a lid on. I mean, she little blankets,
Like a
and
dog
she
crate.
was beside. Open the drawer and there she is. But she literally was like, for the first 9 months or so, she was beside me at the office. And this is working for somebody else, of course. But I just said to her, Mum, she's coming in. That's it. About 9 months, she went off to a Montessori for about another 18 months and all of that. And when I started Viridian, I pulled her back out, and she was with me the whole time when I started Viridian. And every meeting until she started school, she would be at meetings. She'd be sitting there drawing and making ideas, coming up with comments, and she just and trade shows, always come along to the trade shows. And I didn't. It's not that I loved Viridian more, that or work more, because I do love work, I do, and I love Holly. She's
Yeah.
my baby, right? I just love her to bits. She's 30 now; she's still my baby, but I just didn't see why the two of them
Yeah, I
wouldn't
agree.
work to do together. She wouldn't want me being bored, that's for sure. She wouldn't like me as a mum if I was at home cleaning the bathroom with a toothbrush. You know what I mean? I'd
Yeah.
get hysterical if I was at home the whole time. So,
I had a
but
year
it
off.
just
Like
worked.
I had a year off between jobs to decide. My eldest Laura, she's 29. She's 30 next year. And I
Yeah.
thought, oh, I'll have a year off because, like I'd been a full on. Actually, I was part time when I first had it. And genuinely, I created a job at the school. Like, and I what I learned was, and it was somebody said something to me is, you have to be the best mom when they need your attention, not all the time. And it really
Yeah.
stuck to me, which is when you're there with them, be present actually. And it was a big lesson for me because you do carry guilt as a working mom, no matter whether you want it. And
Yeah.
I was the same as you. I thought, I'm it's me and it's my choice, like, and
I guess I still believe that I'm a human being as well as a mother.
yeah,
And, my daughter's 30 this month. And, but, I just felt I'm a human being too. I never spoke to her like a child. I only ever spoke to her like an adult. I couldn't
you?
understand going, oh, good, could you, yeah, I didn't. I just go, so come on then, Ollie, off we go.
What's your
We're
cash
going to
flow?
go into this meeting now, yeah. See if you could do this bit of filing. And she says she loved it. She does. She says that she did. I'm sure there was a moment in her teenage years where she hated every minute of it, but she says now that she loved every minute of it because it was never the same thing twice. We were always up to something, doing something, and whether we're giving out samples outside a health food shop or we're helping the health food shop, whatever we're doing, we always kept busy. And she's turned into a very, very smart, bright, very intelligent young woman and educated. She went to first person in my whole family to go from school to do a degree.
Yeah.
She went to university. It's amazing, amazing young woman she is, and I'm very proud. That's my proudest achievement is my daughter. She's extraordinary.
Yeah, I think it's probably I don't want to speak for her, but I think it probably did her a lot of favors. Do you know what I mean? Like, because she's grown up, she's seen it all, she's grown with it. So that's
This business is fun, don't let anybody tell you isn't. Running your own business is fun. It might be challenging, but there's nothing like trying to solve a problem. Yes, problem solving is great fun. Yeah.
Especially with what you've created. It's like, I mean, you look at it now, like, you know, you're still here, you're successful. Like, where is the business now? How do you get? Are you still full time in the business, or
No,
what's?
no, 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 no. When Holly stepped in, Holly came and she worked as, I think we called her something like management support or something like that, because I didn't want her to just walk straight in as MD. Although the
Yeah.
staff were absolutely relieved. I was panicking that they'd think, oh, Jesus, it's super nepotism and, you know, all the rest of
Yeah.
it. But they were just relieved that I'm not selling the business, because
Oh, okay.
most of our competitors, most vitamin companies in this country now are owned by huge pharmaceutical or huge food companies. And they were all scared I was going to sell to Nestle or somebody. And so to have Holly come in, but she worked in every department and learned, you know, she knew a lot about the business already because she'd done a lot of summer holiday work and so on. But she worked in each department, worked in the marketing team. She went off when she did her degree. She did a business degree with events management, so she enjoyed working in marketing, especially. And then once she stepped in as MD, I stepped back and
Oh,
I'm
okay. So she's
chair
officially
of.
MD. That's amazing, isn't
Oh,
it?
absolutely. Well,
Yeah.
it's probably nearly 2 years now, I think.
Oh, awesome.
And
Yeah.
we speak all the time, and I'm on the board. So, but the business grows and grows. We 18% growth last year, and we're in
Wow.
27, 28, maybe 30 countries now.
Wow.
And you know, for me, Viridian, I love vitamins, but I love health food
Yeah, I was
stores
going to
1%
ask.
more. Okay, I'm fascinated by vitamins, the whole vitamin category, how the science has caught up
Yeah.
with the desire. Because when I first joined the industry 40 years ago, vitamins were more almost like voodoo, you know, like you know,
Yeah. Yeah.
regarded in that way, which is ridiculous. But the science has been come on leaps and bounds. You go on PubMed now and you Google magnesium or any vitamin or mineral herbals, you find pages and pages and pages, you know, heaps and heaps of gold standard research, and that's just wonderful to see how that's come on at the time. But like I say, as much as I love vitamins, I really am fascinated by it. I'm 1% more in love with health food stores and what health food stores do for the people of this country. Every health food store, independent health food store in little towns all over Britain and Ireland that we supply, each one of them has their own story, has their own group of tribe of customers that are, you know, part of the movement, the natural products movement. And I get very, very passionate about that. So Viridian for me has always been a vehicle to help health food stores be successful,
Yeah.
profitable, and authoritative. So we do massive. In fact, I'm sat here in the middle of the Viridian Training Academy. We have hundreds of retailers come to Daventry for training on food supplements, but also on business, helping to make sure their businesses are stable, sustainable, growing businesses. So that to me has been my life mission, is to make sure that health food stores have a brand of supplements that are reliable for them, that we're not suddenly going to go, you know, massive Amazon sales or
Yeah.
supply, you know, the big chains. You know, we don't. We are very much independent driven. So that to me is our life's, you know, my life's work. And fortunately, Holly feels exactly the same. So she's not going to be taking it into, you know, Boots
Yeah.
anytime soon. You know, it's staying loyal to the independent stores.
No, that's amazing.
Do you think that the love for the independent stores and the love for the health food stores, do you think that was sparked by your time like up in Edinburgh when you were working there, and that's just sort of stayed with you since
Definitely.
then?
Yeah, definitely. I think the flame was lit then, but I think I've got a story that I tell actually, but it makes me cry a bit now because, well, you will understand in a second when I tell you the story. But when I was on Natural Food Trader magazine, I went to a very, very boring meeting of the Trade Association, and there, you know, it's all old duffers, all old boys, and you know, yapping, and suddenly some bloke at the back, a chap called Phil, actually, he passed away a while back, but I got to know him. But anyway, Phil stood up and he said, this meeting's really boring. And he said, you don't understand what health food stores are about. He said, let me tell you a story. An elderly woman came into my health food store last week, and she said she was suffering with some joint pain and she, you know, wasn't feeling too well. So I took her by the hand and I led her around the store and I listened to her story and, you know, the symptoms and what was wrong with her, what the doctor had said. I advised her on foods and, you know, we basically had a chat and she got to the till. She bought a couple of bits and pieces. But she turned to him and said, I want to thank you because you're the first person that's touched me in the 4 years since my husband died. And I just want to thank you for that connection. And, I get choked now when I hear that story. But
God.
to me, there was a lightning bolt went through me. I just felt that connection of what health food stores are for. They're not for selling product, as much as I sell product through health food stores. They're not for selling product. They're not just for doing, food, nice foods or whatever. It's about having a community of people around you who somewhere you can go where you feel safe. And, in my own health food shop, as you know, I have a health food shop of my own now. We have a lot of people come here who are trans people, people who are, edge of society kind of people that feel uncomfortable going to other places, and they feel very, very safe in a health food store because you have people there who really understand what it's like to live a more difficult life, whether that's health issues or allergies or, you're going through emotional difficulty, mental health is massive.
I was going to ask you about that, yeah.
Health food stores do so much for people in terms of just being a shoulder to cry on, a listening ear.
Yeah.
But hearing that story that Phil told at that meeting, I was probably only 25, 26 when I heard that story. And it was like, oh my God, it was like a beam of light shot down on me. And I thought that health food stores are much more than just a retail outlet. That's it.
Yeah.
And I know. So my service to the industry has to be to get Viridian constant and sustainable and reassuring for those health food stores to trust us, which they do. We are number one, number two in every independent health food store in the country now, and that and everywhere we sold. So, and that I'm very proud of that.
Yeah, it's absolutely incredible.
It's amazing, isn't it? Because when you were talking about it, I was thinking about community and how we've lost community places. Like we've lost that ability for like youth clubs for the kids and pubs and actually libraries, even all the places where people could get human connection and feel they belong.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of loneliness out there. And when you go into the bigger brands in anyone, you are a commodity, aren't you? And it's really thought-provoking what you've said, because I've never thought about that before, about actually going to, and I'm thinking, oh, I need to go and talk to somebody now. It's sparked with me. And I think what you're saying is your bigger mission is that community, that care,
Absolutely.
that belonging, that mattering. And
1,000%.
what an interesting vehicle an independent health food store is.
Yeah.
I think that's amazing.
Yeah.
Because we've lost the traditional places. I was thinking about I joined the library again in rugby, but it's not like the library I had at school where me and my mates used to go, and what an interesting, because
my daughter says to me, what did you do before Google? I said, we went to a bloody library. Because when I say to her, I used to hang out in libraries when I was a teenager, she'd go, how nerdy. I go, it's not nerdy. It was the only place you could find out anything.
You could go,
It's true.
Well, I think I do think that's really interesting because now you can Google anything and like vitamins and those sorts of things. It's such a minefield. There's so much information. Yeah. And actually, sometimes the best thing that you can do is go and have a conversation with an actual person.
Definitely.
Because everybody's an expert, aren't they? You must find that, Cheryl. Everybody's an expert on everything.
Well, there's lots of fads in the industry. 1 minute it's raspberry ketones, next minute it's collagen, next minute it's something else.
Oh my God,
there's just you really want to know the truth and something that's really worked for people, really understand it. You can go on PubMed. You can look on PubMed on you go PubMed, and it's all the published medical documents for any supplements or anything else, and that's reliable. But everything else on the internet, just ignore it, because 1 minute vitamin C is good for you, next minute it's giving you cancer, next minute it's just nonsense. But you can go into a health food store and get proper advice for you personally, because what you're taking already, if you're on any medication, if you had your gallbladder removed a few years back, if you're pregnant, if you're, this sort of age group, it's so nuanced. Every single person has a different need for supplements.
How do they get that training then, Cheryl? How do they become that? They're almost like a community.
Through Viridian. There's also the Health Food Institute. There's the Health Stores UK Trade Association, do education things. So, but Viridian is stand out. We do, we have a learning capsule online for health food stores to follow, and they can phone up our helpline. It's all free. for advice. I pride myself that all our technical people are not commercial people. The people that you speak to on the telephones, they're all nutritionists who've been trained in nutrition, trained in herbalism. So they give advice based on what you need, not because, we do this latest product. It's not like that. Our commercial teams are very separate to the technical teams, the nutrition teams. But yes, there's proper advice out there. You can find it, and I believe it's best funneled through health food stores, independent health food stores.
Amazing.
When you started Viridian, or even when it was just a concept, could you even have imagined that this was what it would look like years down the line?
Yes, because I am that awfully annoying, relentless, driven person. Yeah, I won't stop. I knew that, even now it's not enough. I want to get into more countries. I want us to be, to always be at the leading edge of nutritional invention, if you like, research and so on. So yeah, no, it's, but yes, did I envisage that it would be the size it is now? Yes, absolutely. And more. So, and Holly's got big vision too. So
we all need a dose of you. I think I need to come and speak to you.
I think it.
It's
I
amazing,
think it's a really
honestly.
good point because if you can, I struggle not in just generally. I have a really hard time seeing things, but I think if you do have such a clear that you don't have to know how you're going to get there, do you? But if you can see it.
The how is the easy bit. You can AI that, right? Anybody can find out the how. Yeah. But it's the why. Why do you want to do it? My mission is to make sure that health food stores are successful. That's it. And they remain and grow on our high streets so they bring health and happiness to their communities. That is my absolute why. And that has got me out of bed with a skipping my step. And I've never gone to work thinking, oh God, I've got to go to work. Never. Not since I was 17 or something, since I started on this mission with Viridian, and before that with the other vitamin company that I worked for, I just realized that this is a bigger picture than just business. It's about community. It's about tribes.
I think
absolutely.
You also have
and nothing's more important than your health.
No,
Karen, but my husband passed away. My husband passed away a couple of years ago with cancer. And, I always knew that health was more important than anything else, but I am robustly healthy. I have the immune system of a horse or something. I never get sick. And but when Sean got sick and obviously passed away, it was such a shock. But I know, and we all know, that nothing's more important than your health. So what I do all day and what I've done all day for 40 years is to help people be healthy. I mean, there's nothing better than that. What a life. It's a privilege.
I also think it's really, I'm always interested in the language that people use, and the promises that are given in things. And really interestingly, you have to be careful when you're talking about health when people are ill. And what I like about your language is that you are helping people be healthier. You're not
absolutely.
curing it or
No.
do you like some people have?
Yeah. It's a great point.
And I've been listening to your language about it, and I thought, that's really, it's being healthier. It's not being healthy.
Health
do you know what I mean?
Holistic.
Yeah, it's great. I like it.
It's about having a belief in your health, a belief in your mental health. Like you're talking about clarity, having mental clarity around things, being sure of what you want and why you're doing it. I think that's as much a part of your health as is your nutrition or your diet and lifestyle, and obviously the luck that you have thrown at you or bad luck you have thrown at you. So I think it's a holistic view of health and happiness, which is just as important.
I think that really resonates with me. When I was diagnosed with cancer, I stopped and took a breath and looked into, because I need to know why, what's going on here. And what I learned exactly, and as you were talking about, which is a shame you have to learn that through trauma, is about stress, about impact on your immune system, about exhaustion, about, like, my mum had died a few months before, and it was like a big wake-up call. But you only 9 times out of 10 you only get it when you're in this urgency.
And that's
I think you've got to give yourself a chance. Give yourself a chance, and that is about drinking 2 liters of water a day. That's not hard. My mum, she, like I say, she's 100, but I say to her, drink more water, mum. Just drink more water. Think of it as medicine. Just drink it. She finds it really hard, but give yourself a chance, give yourself the body the right nutrition, whether that's food and a few supplements. I'm bound to say supplements, but good food, eat well and rest, and just give your body a chance, because your body can do incredible things. Now, 1 in 2 people get cancer now. 1 in 2. So, you've got to try and give your body a chance not to get it, or if you get it, I actually believe that you're getting cancer all the time, and that your body's fighting back.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
And then if you have stress and you're not eating properly for a few months or a few weeks, then you're giving your body a chance to, the problems to occur. There's no blame there. 1 in 2 people get cancer now. You've just got to hope for the best in some regard, but give your body every chance to be as successful as possible.
What's been your all-time constant vitamin then? If you had to pick a vitamin that you think, if you do nothing else,
just one. I'll tell you what. I take every day.
You can have more than one.
Right? given that I'm robustly healthy, and I'm not saying these are what make me healthy, but because I don't have any particular underlying health conditions that I need to treat, I can tell you what I take. I take fish oil.
Yeah.
I take magnesium. I take B12 because I don't eat red meat.
Yeah.
I take vitamin D3 and K2 for my bones to make sure I've got good bones. And I take vitamin C every day. I take quite high dose. Quite high. Well, there you go. I take quite high doses.
Oh dear.
Although I have to say also, when I think about it, whenever I attend a seminar or go to a workshop and I hear some new evidence, I'll start taking whatever that was as well.
Yeah.
But at the moment, that's my core, my go-to, and I feel good with it.
What do you think is the biggest waste of? I'm trying to think of the words. What do you think's been the biggest waste of time, fad about? Where they con people into taking something or that isn't based in any evidence.
Where do you start? There've been so many over the years, but I think truthfully, the vitamins that are a waste of time are the ones that you put in the cupboard and don't take, because that's what people do, right?
Yeah, I love it.
It's like joining the gym and not going. It's the same thing.
Yeah.
You need to take them, sensibly. You need to take them every day, and the stuff I'm taking is preventative. So will it work? Will it won't work? Who will know? But from the evidence, from the research that I've read, I believe it makes sense to take these things, and that will help me live a healthier, longer life. And if I do live to 100, like my parents have, I want to be healthy and fit. That's why I do Pilates. That's why I do PT 3 times a week. I'm constantly looking and just thinking, if I'm going to live a long time, I want to live well. I don't want to be sick.
Really
I don't want to live the last 30 years bloody, struggling to
with
get
joint
out of
issues.
this.
You don't want it.
Exactly.
Yeah, you don't want to be 100 and not and be
not
just
be able to
bedbound,
walk.
do you?
No,
yeah.
100%
It's
agree
great.
with you.
And something, Ellie, I wish somebody had told me that when I was in my 20s. I wish somebody had said to me, I'm 63 now, but I wish somebody had said to me, what kind of 60-year-old do you want to be?
Yeah.
Because what you're doing now, the habits that you have today, are what you're going to reap the rewards from in 10, 20, 30, 40 years' time.
Yeah.
I wish somebody had told me that then. And
I'm in my 30s now, and I'm
fitter and
starting
healthier I'd be now.
But I like that. I'm starting to hear it now, and I am unfortunately one of those people. The more I hear something, if I'm not interested in hearing it, the more I go, well, I'm not doing any of it then. But I do hear all the time that in your 30s you are setting yourself up.
Absolutely.
So the sooner that you start, the better.
Yeah. Definitely. I this sounds like a plug, but I actually gave these books away. But
You can plug away.
I read about that. Yeah, plug it. Yeah, definitely.
I don't know if you can read it because it's
My
back to
mum ran
front.
a 5K. Yeah,
it's called My Mum Ran a 5K. The hero. It's about a trash-eating raccoon family, and they basically the little lad or the little raccoon in it. They decide they're gonna improve their lifestyles, and they go into a health food store, of course. And that page opens up into a double page spread of a big health food shop, and they end up running a 5K. But it's basically a raccoon family's story of health and happiness. And we printed for Viridian's 25th anniversary, we printed 25,000 copies, and we gave them out for free through the health food stores to give to schools, to give to local food banks, to just encourage children to think, what kind of 60-year-old, what kind of adult do I want to be in terms of health and fitness? And that was a bit of a mission for me to get that done.
It's awesome.
That's
we published that
incredible.
last year.
So I have a question then. So I obviously Viridian's in safe hands with Holly, but was that difficult for you to to take a step back, because it is essentially your other
You know,
child,
I
isn't
get
it?
asked that all the time, but I'm one of these people that once I make up my mind, that's it, I'm done. You know,
Yeah.
and I love Viridian. Don't get me wrong; it's, you know, it's like my oldest child, you know, or youngest child. Yeah, Holly's older, but and you know, if I thought Holly, you know, it wasn't in safe hands, then I'd have a different view. But no, you know, once I make a decision, I'm gone. That's it. I'm moved on. And it's not like I'm not doing anything. Obviously, I opened the health food shop me and my husband, we opened the health food shop in 2016. So that's coming up next year for its 10th anniversary.
That's
and
crazy.
It's my greatest pleasure to be in that shop. I
I
absolutely
tell
love
you
it.
what, I go to Daventry very infrequently, usually to sign the the corporation tax off at the end of the year. But I'm coming to see you. I'm
Yes.
probably going to come before. I'm going to get
I
some
want
to
to go in
sort
the
my.
bookshop.
I'm shocked and stunned you've not been in there already. It's a fabulous shop.
And me, I'm shocked and stunned because I just go to Daventry, go to one place, but now I just think.
But
it
Sheaf
sounds amazing.
Street's a 16th century street.
I know, yeah.
When they were building those properties, Shakespeare was doing his thing over at Stratford-upon-Avon. It's amazing.
I tell you
And
what
we've got an
you've done to me
1,800
today.
square foot building. It's beautiful.
You've painted such a, honestly, truthfully, you've painted such a different picture to me of independent health stores. Honestly, it really has changed mine.
It's a magical world. It's a magical world.
Just
And you've
change
got
it.
people in there who work there because they want to help people. That's it.
And I
But
think,
in our shop, we've got beauty. We've obviously got supplements. We've got body care. We've got all the foods you can imagine. We've got a cafe at the back, a vegan cafe.
Don't you
Upstairs,
worry.
it's all fair trade fashion. It's beautiful.
I'm coming.
It is a beautiful shop.
I'm coming
And
for
next
Christmas
door
presents.
yeah, absolutely, with lots of gifting, fair trade gifting. You know, it's lovely. And then next door, 2 years ago, we opened a bookshop again in a grade 2 listed building, and it's wonderful.
I'm going to tell you like a really weird story about
Go
Daventry
on.
in a bookshop, because we were getting rid of a. Seriously, this is so weird. I don't know whether it's your bookshop. We were getting rid of like a dresser thing, and we put it out for people and said, "Look, we don't want it. Do you want it?" And somebody. We had 2 people in Daventry who wanted it. I don't know why, because we're in rugby, and lots of con artists. And the people in the bookshop, it was a few years ago, came and had it because I loved what they were saying. And I was like,
Was it 2 years ago?
It was when Mike's mum died, so I think it was before you. So I wish that had been your bookshop
okay.
thing.
Because we do have a big dresser. We have a dresser that we painted in our corporate colours.
Mike's mum's.
Our business colours.
Big dresser.
It's
honestly.
Huge. Yeah, it's huge. You have to come and see if it is the one.
That's so weird.
Well, it's been treasured. I can tell you that it's been treasured and it's been painted and it's beautiful. So you won't be disappointed when you see it.
God, that's so weird. Sorry, Elle. Just on a little, I thought,
no,
that's
fine.
It might have been 3 years ago that we bought the shop. So it may have been 3 years ago. But...
we got rid of it. I would say it was probably after COVID.
Oh, well, yeah, it probably was us then. Come see. Yeah, come see.
Sorry, that's going to be crazy.
We have a Jacobean staircase. We have 4 original fireplaces.
Because I remember talking to the people who came about how they were going to get it in.
Yeah.
Sure, like, how you're going to... Oh, anyway, so weird. I
have no idea how they got it up the staircase. I've no idea.
Yeah, it's so weird. That's how are you going to move it then? Because we were talking... Anyway, long story short, what I was really going to ask you, not about anybody else bothering about my local bookshelf, and that I'm going to come and visit you, is how did you, I don't know whether you know, get to be the decisive person you are? How did you get to have that courage? Were you born with it?
I actually can tell you exactly, because I've given this a lot of thought. I do a lot of personal development stuff, okay? But when I was a kid, I'm the youngest of 5, and you've got to remember that my parents were quite old then, because my mum was 37 when she had me, so my dad was 42 or something. And so I was sort of the bottom end. My parents are pretty much Victorian, brought up in a Victorian way. My sisters and my brother, who were much older than me, they were growing up becoming teenagers in the 60s. So you can imagine what it was like in our house. There was shouting and screaming, the police. There was a constant trauma. And I became this little girl at the bottom that just became a real people pleaser. I would, like this with my dad, like this, trying to just never get in trouble, okay? And I realised what my dad liked. My dad liked people who were smart. My dad liked people who were clever. And that, I was reading before I went to school. I mean, like proper reading, big books, reading newspapers and stuff before I went to school.
Wow.
My dad used to say, this makes me laugh. My dad used to say, she's a genius. This little kid's a genius. But when she grew up, she came average. You get this big compliment and then you go bang.
Oh my
you know?
God.
And but I recognised my dad liked smartness,
Yeah.
to be smart. So I learned that, and so the gift that my dad and one I'll tell you this awful story. Okay, when I was about 16, I had a boyfriend, like you do. I was still at home, maybe 15 and a half, 16. But bearing in mind, my sisters had been, girls of the 60s. And so, my dad felt they were terrible people, And I said to my dad, I think I'm going to be a policewoman. I'm going to apply to the police force. And my dad said to me, I can't believe I'm telling you this story. I really can't. My dad said to me, policeman, you'd be better off as a prostitute. That's what he said to me. Okay. Yeah, I know. I can laugh about it now. He's been dead a while. But something, again, I had this I felt like my genetics on my cellular level, I thought to myself, forgive my language, fuck you.
Yeah.
That's what I thought to myself.
Yeah.
I'll show you, mate. I'll show you what I'm capable of. And I think that was when I found my absolute clarity that I would not be stopping. I'd be relentless until I get to the point. That sounds so sad. Where he'll be proud of me.
No, it doesn't. It's so true.
Eat those words.
I thought more you were going to go for the eat those words.
I hated him for years.
Yeah.
I hated him for decades. But when I realised that I'd been so careful not to turn into my mother, I'd actually turned into my dad.
Yeah.
I was very strong, very relentless, very opinionated. And but it's my dad that's given me the drive by being such a bastard, really.
Well, we're laughing because it's just because that's quite a funny thing to hear said. But actually, if that had come from someone like your parents, no wonder you can still recall it now, because what a thing to stick with you,
I know.
Yeah,
I know.
absolutely.
I think it's interesting though, because I was thinking about, as you said, I was thinking what stuck in mine and my sister's head. Like, we were the first people to go to university, and I think a lot of women of our time comes from, like, my nan, God rest her soul, who was so disappointed we were girls. And used to say, if you hadn't been clever, you could have been at home, and I think there are little things within you that are little, like, as you say, like at little cellular level, that are like little electric shocks. And
you've got a choice, Karen. You've got a choice. You can take that as a criticism and poor me. Oh, I'm the victim of this, or you say, actually, this happened for me.
Yeah.
This didn't happen to me. My dad didn't. That didn't happen to me. It happened for me.
Yeah.
That's maybe, it's like the boy named Sue. The dad it's the same thing. I think I'd like to think my dad did it on purpose, but he did, and it was just being a gift. But but in reality, but the result of it is that he made me stand on my own 2 feet and think, right, I'll show you. I'll show the universe that I'm more capable than you think I am. And so it was a gift, really, and that's how I choose to view it.
Definitely.
I quite like the language you use, because I do. Like, I remember when I was going through my cancer diagnosis, and you read all these things, which is, think about it as a gift, think about it as being positive, and you're thinking, it's disrupted my life, my kids are young, blah, 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 blah. It's no bloody gift. Do you know?
No.
But I really like your use of the words, which is for you, not at you.
Yeah.
For you is
not to you. Didn't happen to you. I'm not the victim of anything.
For you is
not
a really interesting use of words, because it's then what you make of it. Yeah,
I've been sorely tested, Karen. Sorely tested. When Sean died, I could not see how that was for me, not to me. But I have to say, Sean died, and then this year my sister died. She was on her way over to see me, and she didn't turn up on time. And Carol was always on time, so I drove out to try and get to her house to see why she hadn't come, sort of thing. Couldn't get hold of her on the phone, obviously, and I found her in a car, and she was dead.
God,
she hadn't had a car accident. She had a massive heart attack. And again, I'm thinking, how can this be for me and not to me? But I think what death and bereavement, grief does, alongside all the horror of it and the upset of it, is it does give you a greater understanding and compassion for people going through similar circumstances, and for yourself too, to be kinder to yourself, to give yourself some breaks. But having that resilience, it makes you stronger. Obviously, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger, but it does give you a deeper compassion for other people other people's troubles. And I'll give a silly example, okay, a very silly example. Years ago, when I've been an employer for a long time, I've been employing people since I was on magazine, you know, so I've employed hundreds and hundreds of people over the years. And every now and again, very rarely, once 10 years now, somebody will come in and say, or will phone up and say, I'm not coming into work because my dog's died. And I would just, literally, I'd say, you know, okay, no problem. But I'd roll my eyes and I think, for Christ's sake, it's a dog, get another dog, just get into work. Work's the most important thing. Whereas, you know, now I can genuinely understand, you know, bereavement, which I was very lucky. I didn't have a bereavement in the family for a long time until I was quite an older person. But it's humbling. It's humbling. And it also, you know, it doesn't matter whether you live 5 minutes or 100 years. It's all like that. It's just very, very quick in the big millennia of life, you know.
In the bigger scheme.
So just make the best of every moment. I used to say that the secret to life was kindness and gratitude, and I still believe that. But I'd forgotten one really important element, and that is joy.
Yeah.
Just to find the joy in every moment, because, you know, being present and finding the joy in that second, whether it's bird song or it's, you know, just having a nice clean glass of water, which 3/4 of the world doesn't get a clean glass of water.
Yeah.
You know, finding the joy, but kindness, gratitude and joy, that's it. Secret to life.
Yeah. When Leslie died last year, I had this thing, because it's hard to find what is in this, and mine was, my little thing that got me through was, I've been given the privilege of enjoying this day. And that's what every day I think, you've got a privilege to be here, Karen, don't waste it. And even if that means just slobbing.
Have you read the Richard E. Grant book, A Pocket Full of Happiness?
No.
I give that to everybody now.
Really?
Anybody that's going through bereavement, I send them that copy of that book, and
avoided it.
Genius. Look, you know something? I'm an avid reader. I've been a big reader all my life, and when Sean died, I couldn't read. I couldn't pick up a book. My brain just wouldn't focus. And I was flicking through the TV channels, and I saw Richard E. Grant talking about his book that he'd written the year before. And I thought, I'll order it. And I ordered it, and that got me back reading again, which was, you know, such a gift. But the way he talks about his wife, and
awesome,
it's a beautiful book.
Yeah,
I lost my dog 6 weeks ago, and I had very good kindness from Eleanor, who completely and utterly said, we're cancelling the podcast. And I was like,
it is silly. I mean, they are, like, they're family members, aren't they? But I think it's I was just talking to someone that, well, it was a counsellor actually, because, you know, we're in the grief process as well. The grief process, shut up, what? Like, do you know what I mean? What was that?
So just don't talk about a journey, okay?
As soon as I heard myself saying that, I thought, oh, be quiet. But she was sort of saying, you know, because it's really easy. It's so easy to go, God, it's all a bit shit. And yeah, that's going to happen. But like, when you do have to look for the joy and the gratitude and stuff, because it's there. And if everything was supposed to be shit all the time, and like then what would be the point in any of it? Do you know what I mean? So
it's all a series of chapters. That's what I've come to the conclusion on. I had a very fabulous chapter with my husband. I was very, very fortunate. We loved each other very much, and he was such a great person. I didn't have a shit marriage. I had a lovely marriage, really lovely marriage. And there's plenty of people who never find that love ever in their whole lives. I was privileged to have that chapter. My sister Carol, she wasn't my twin, which I can't even begin to imagine, but my sister and I were very close. And in fact, when Sean died, we became even closer. So I had an amazing relationship with my sister. I've got another sister. She won't appreciate seeing this, but we're not so close. Let's put it that way. And so, you know, I was very lucky to have one of my sisters that I'm just so close to. So, and that was a chapter.
Yeah.
A big chapter, because obviously I knew her for my entire life, you know. It's the sad thing is when you lose people who have that bank of memories, all that memory is just lost. It's not like you can download that and see it whenever you want to, you know, you can't.
No.
But I'm very grateful to the universe for giving me Sean and for giving me Carol, because they were wonderful, wonderful people, and they loved me. That, you know, how good is that? People I absolutely adored who actually love me too. Amazing.
Yeah, it's really like there is a lot of joy in just being alive, and I think this has been phenomenal. So thank you for coming on. And then we just have our last question for you, which is a bit of a pivot from our last topic of conversation. But nonetheless, I'm going to ask if you had to pick a song to be the theme song for your life, what would it be?
It's funny, really. I think the truth would be the Benny Hill theme, if you want something done, I was a busy person. I've always kept phenomenally busy, which I love. But in truth, the song that I love the most is a song called Rainy Night in Soho, which is the Pogues. It's my era. But it was the song that my husband and I had as our wedding tune. And there's a bit in there that says, "You are the measure of my dreams." And he absolutely was the measure of my dreams, and that's the song I would choose.
No, that's brilliant. I've not heard of it, but I will go and give it a listen.
Do
but
that.
No, Cheryl, thank you so much for taking the time out to come and speak to us, and what an incredible conversation it's been. So really thank you for that. And thank you to everyone for listening. And
thank you for giving me the opportunity to talk about sunny Daventry and hashtag Discover Daventry. Look up. We run the Facebook and Instagram page for Discover Daventry. Yeah, we set it up as a retail group, the Daventry Retail Forum. And Discover Daventry, we set that up ourselves. And that's what I spend a lot of my time doing now. So
amazing. We'll include it all in the whatever bits get included. But thank you so much.
Thank you